I'd like to welcome everybody out this evening. Kind of a special evening because this only happens once every 4 years. We get to swear new council members in and other folks that get appointed. And so I'd first like to thank Casey Bateman, who is not here tonight, but he has done an awful lot for this town. Both is serving quite a long time. I'm not sure how many years on council seat. He also certainly dug a lot of holes and helped water systems. And so I do Casey good thanks. And I'd like to also welcome Stephanie Grady, who will be sworn here in just a few minutes. So that's a good segue to pass on to Lynn for the swearing in of town officers.
Yes, I'm Lynn Schinderling, the town clerk, and I would like to welcome you as a new member of the council. If you'll raise your right hand, please, and then read the oath that I place in front of you.
I, Stephanie Grady, do solemnly swear that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this state, and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
Thank you. Mr. Turner?
I, Lance Turner, do solemnly swear that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this state, and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
Thank you. Mr. Wadowski?
Make the injured guy stand up.
Yeah. I, Jan.8, do solemnly swear and affirm that I will support, obey, defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this state, and I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
Thank you very much. I will remind you, before the town passed a resolution adopting a conflict of interest policy, we used to have you sign a conflict of interest statement that you would divulge to the council and the public if a conflict arose with your business dealings and so forth. Because we have a policy in place, you are just to review that and be on your own to bring anything to the attention of the council from there. It is Daniel Resolution 2015-01-05.
2015 what?
01-05.
And it also, I forgot to mention, Lynn, for the last 4 years, probably one of the most important jobs, and I almost forgot to thank Lynn for her excellent service and more than excellent service with all the things she's done and helped implement in our town's business. So sorry for forgetting those few notes, but we really do appreciate all that you have done. So thank you again. So the next item will go beyond number 2, which is any public concerning any yep, and then I was ahead of myself on this one. We also will have a new clerk that has been in training on Saturday and met with Lynn and is in that process. And we have an item on the agenda to get that approved, and then we'll swear Mary in. Don't believe Gilbert and Sons is here yet. Oh, there we go. All right.
So do we want to, you're back to public, you want to do the public?
I do, before I get on to that, number 2, yeah. And so any public comment concerning any issue not on the agenda, so this is not a discussion time, this is just a comment that can turn into a discussion if it's on the agenda. So I'd like to turn that over to anybody that'd like to speak. Okay. Item number 2 moves on. Item number 3, presentation by Gilbert and Stewart, CPAs of Danieltown for 2016-17 fiscal year. This would be mentioned as an agreed upon procedure that each year we agree on a procedure. And this is the statement. Well,
Great, glad to be here. My name's Ben Probst. I'm with Gilbert and Stewart, CPAs. This year, because of our revenue and expenditures were below the state audit requirement, we performed agreed upon procedures. So if you look at the report, it's a little different than what we've had in the past. Because basically we did not do an audit. We weren't required. And so basically what the state requires us to do is to basically we submit financial statements to the state, they're certified, then we go in and do certain procedures and test work, and that's what this report is stating. We looked at basically the revenues. We looked at any revenues that exceeded 10%, 5 to 10% of the prior year. Same with the expenses. If we noted any problems, they're noted. But we didn't have any findings as we went through the agreed upon procedures. Some of the items was if we were within budget, based on your budget, if the budgets were submitted properly, there were no findings there. Other requirements was whether or not our fund balance was in compliance, can't exceed over 75% of our revenue if we were in compliance with that. Make sure that we had proper training with Open and Public Meeting Act and different things like that. And whether or not we had enough bond for our treasurer bond based on the revenue came in. So we were all in compliance. We had no findings in relation to the state agreed upon procedures. At the back of the report is basically a summary of the financials position of the town. Starts off with the unaudited balance sheet and statement of net position. Basically shows our general fund, our capital projects fund, and our water fund, and our assets associated therein, receivables and debt. Most of our debt bonds are in the water fund. So that gives you a summary of the financials. Some of the things that the town changed this year is you went to Cassell, or not to Cassell, to Flores in helping your accounting system, which was very good move. I mean, it basically kept things in balance and check, and it was easier for us as we worked with Kyle there and also with Sherry, and was able to get the information and to put this report together. The next page is basically a statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in fund balance and net position. It shows our revenues that came in, both for the general fund, which includes our taxes, license, B&C road, monies for our roads and maintenance, and then where our expenditures basically went out of. And shows the operations therein. And then the last page is just a summary of any of our infrastructure that the town has, any additions, and the depreciation associated with that. So, I know I just brought this to you today. If you have any questions as you review it, feel free to give me a call and we can discuss it. Or if you have any questions today, I'd be glad to go over it. But the town's in compliance as the state's requirement, so looking good.
Great. Council have any questions for Ben?
Thank you.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll give you this extra report.
So it's nice to be in compliance with the state auditor, so. That was number 4, appointment of planning commissioners. I guess I'll turn this over to the planning department for a minute and we'll do that.
Okay, we have four terms that are up this year. So we had one commissioner that decided that they'll sit this one out. We did have an application for a new commissioner. So we have, my seat was up, Kim Norris, Diane Groves, who decided that her term is up. So, and who am I missing? Tom Rawlings. And so, with that change, we'll put everybody back in, except for Diane, and Mark will take that seat.
Make a motion for that.
You bet.
And before we do that, we have any discussion from anybody in council with regards to the appointments? Not, Chair will entertain a motion to appoint those individuals.
I'll make a motion to appoint Mark as the counselor to the planning commission
And reappoint, I take it?
and reappoint everybody else.
Is this Mark McAllister?
Yes.
You have not mentioned his name.
Yeah, Mark and counselor, yeah.
We have a motion to have Mark on the planning commission and the others sign up or agree to keep continuing their position.
Right.
So that would be our first. So do we have a second?
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any last discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Aye.
One opposed. Motion still, they still are pro tem. So we will appoint those folks and find out. Last person. I have one addition to add that was not on the agenda. The town of Daniels is looking for a seat for someone to be on the airport advisory board. So that seat is coming open, and I asked if they needed to be a pilot, and that would kind of help, but not, there's people on there that may not be a pilot, but may understand what the airport might or might not do with our community. So I'd love to pass that out, and if anyone knows who would like to be on that, I'd love to hear their names and present them. So
We also have 2 open seats on the Board of Adjustments also.
we have 2 open seats on the Board of Adjustments. I'm not sure if all of you know which board that is, but that would be the board that really solves any conflict that might happen between other boards amongst us in the town. So there's two seats on that Board of Adjustments as well.
Is that a 5-member board?
That's 3. I think it's 5.
Lori Hobbs was on there with the Andersons. I assume she's no longer.
Right.
Correct.
So we have 3 open. Chris and Renee Anderson are
Yep.
the only others.
That was one more.
Can't remember, I don't have those that big.
It's only been done twice in 4 years, so.
That's all I have in my records.
I think you're right. I think you might.
Rob,
I don't know if he's still on.
it's like we haven't met in 5 years, we're so awesome.
Which is a good thing.
It is a matter, it is a good thing.
It's not a bad board to be on.
So there's board, and I'll put it generally, there's some board openings for the town that we'd love to have filled and have some new folks and ideas, and we'd love to, anyone to join us.
Is Mike Duggan not doing the airport thing?
He had told me that that seat would be coming open. Now whether he stays on and another seat, but I believe he was the seat for,
So he's not staying on?
I guess his term or something's coming up or something. Yeah, I wish I had something to explain more about any why and what's, but I just don't. Move on to item number 5, which would be business license applicants. Turn the time back over to Eric.
Okay. We do have some renewals, and we have a new applicant who is here tonight. All lacquered up nails. Heather, you come up here. This is Heather, she's the owner. She just brought her application. So, council got any questions for her?
What kind of business is this?
It's just nails, to
Oh,
do nails
okay.
up. I have 2 little girls, so I'm home alone, just part-time, something to do, kind of a thing, want to make sure I'm doing it all correctly, so.
As far as anything state-wise or things, yeah, that's all in compliance as far as whatever
Yes,
licenses.
I have all my licenses, yes.
What's the name of the business?
All lacquered up.
Had a hard time saying that.
You might have to show up, you might not quite understand that.
Clarify
You
it.
hear me stutter?
Good catch your name
They're
anyway.
slurring the words, you gotta hold it.
Catchy.
I don't have a question, anybody else have a question?
So does planning go over these and make sure they meet all the,
They don't until we pass our new ordinance. Right now, the ordinance.
That's a couple of years off.
When the new ordinance comes in, then planning will review them and send them with a recommendation to the council, if that is passed. So this is the process we have now. As soon as this is all in your house.
Yeah.
You know
It's
what,
just like in its own spare room. I have all like ventilation, my table has all the ventilation stuff, so.
There goes the liquored up part.
What are your hours?
Honestly, it's kind of part-time. Like I said, I have 2 little girls. My youngest is 6 months, so my husband works out of town, so just kind of something I picked up to help bring in a little bit of money.
we need a motion to accept this, or just?
Yeah.
Shall entertain a motion to accept all lacquered up nails as a new business for the town of Daniel?
So moved.
Give a motion, give a second?
check?
A motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Okay, Heather, if you'll just catch up with Lynn over there, and then you'll be set. Okay, and then we have some renewals. We have Melanie North. Do I need to read the names? Classic Beauty Supply, Jill Bonner, with her haircut thing over there. Coleman Trucking, these are all renewals. Wes's Auto Repair,
They're coming by way too fast. It seemed like they were spread out a few years ago.
and Chris Anderson with Computer Nerds. All those, 1 second. She's just gonna send it back if I don't do this. There. So those are all renewals. We've had no complaints on those individuals, so.
Does council have any discussion on any of those, before I sign the business permits?
Yeah, that was a big group. That will also go to every 2 years on our new code. We'll see these every 2 years, so they won't come around near as often. While he's signing those, you want me to go ahead and do the planning?
Sure, absolutely, thank you.
So as he's signing those, I'll give you this for the planning report for the month. Let me kill you down there.
Not too bad.
Too bad. Oh, I don't know. I didn't check.
You've been on vacation.
Yeah, I've been on vacation. Yes.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Got a few there. Any questions on that?
Okay, so we know we have epic building questions and that, what is left open with the Heftel rezone change? They just,
There's just not been an application, so they
they haven't done a full application yet.
right. So they did, they did apply, they came and asked for a variance on the fees, and the council turned them down. We've had no communication since then.
What are the epic buildings for?
What happened was we had it at the transition of moving over to a new engineering firm, GDA, the billing has crossed, and so,
I'm with you now. Okay.
so we're waiting for verification on those invoices
Okay.
before we pay those, and so we keep working with Epic, trying to work through that. I don't know which way that's really going, so
Is it over a year now?
Wow.
we just received a new bill this month from them for work done last month,
How much?
which it wasn't very much, but
For work
we
done?
just, well, we don't know what it's for. It was, just came in and I was trying to find out what it was. And it's for the Clyde residents, so the one that's still going on 3 farms, and it was an inspection.
I'm not sure why they would have done that, or anything.
I don't know either, so.
Is
I
that a
went-
question mark there by Clyde?
No, then we have some other issues on that too. So we know they're getting close to getting a CO, but we have some road issues on that 3 Farms road that's not completed yet.
Okay.
It'll hold up a CO, so
Okay.
that's the question.
And down in complaints, driving too fast on 3000 South and dogs at large, trailer park 3000 South and Daniel Road, police action and parking issues with, I assume with regard to the trailer park?
Yes. For those of you that don't know, we've had a meth raid at the trailer park on the corner of 3000 South and Daniel Road. So we had a police action.
Okay,
So as we get these reports and complaints, I
Was it
thought
a
it was,
lab or was it just a distribution facility?
I don't know that. The rumor had it was, but I haven't got confirmation either way.
Was that what the construction was for? Were they increasing the size of the operation?
I don't know, the trailer went wide open, the walls were knocked down, and sat open for almost a week.
Wow.
Doors wide open, windows knocked out. It looked like there was a police action. So- But there are people back in there. There was some concern from some of the neighbors about contamination, because they're on a well there, and it's centrally located in there. So they was worried about contamination. And of course, they're on septic also, so anything that got flushed would have been right close to the trailers also.
and that doesn't matter that the town is still getting complaints on and things, and so it's something that town is looking at as we can. Any other things for planning for Eric?
Can I please mention one thing for the 3000 South, the driving too fast?
Okay,
As of today, they have installed a whole bunch of new speed limit signs there.
They have. It's awesome.
I went out the back way, so I didn't even notice them today.
Oh, really?
Good.
Yeah.
Good. So did they get all the signs done on the
They
front
did,
patch? Great.
they're all done today.
Excellent. Thank you for the update.
You're welcome.
Did we have to pay for the one they posted at the county?
I took
Probably.
that off the list.
On the county side?
Yeah, it's on the county side.
But officially, I think we had $60 in overages, or 70. It was pretty minimal. There was one sign that we asked them to clean. They spent half an hour cleaning it. Said, "Do you really want us to keep doing this?" And just put up a new one. And it was, it's $50 an hour to clean, or it's $50 for a new sign. What do you want to do? And so we told them to go ahead and put up a new sign. And there was one post we said straighten, and they held it up. "Do you really want me to fix this?" And we said, "No, go ahead and put a new one in." So those are the only 2 change orders. I think we're under $100 in difference between what they said they do and what they're doing. So I'd call that a roaring success.
Absolutely.
And there was one other thing, I did just got 3 copies of this because I knew John would be interested in that. Maybe you will be too, Stephanie. We requested them put up a street light at the end of 3000 South. That was the billing, but then talked the county into paying it.
Yeah,
Way to go there.
Free thing, I thought.
That's a free one with the polar.
That's what I told her when she said how much it was. I says, call them back and ask them who authorized it.
Where's this light at, Eric?
At the end of 3000 South, lighting that intersection, and
There used to be one years ago.
189, yeah. And so that bill was $24.13.
That was in 2400.
Yeah, so, but it turns out it's on county property, so it worked out. The county paid the bill, but anyway, I thought that was interesting, huh? Because they didn't mention that until.
No, they didn't. I thought it was like a freebie, yeah, we'll get that for you.
Yeah, look at that, huh? So when I got that, I thought maybe you'd be interested in that, so I just had a couple copies of that.
Eric, how many streetlights does the town of Daniel operate?
We don't operate any.
Okay, how many do they pay for?
Well,
On the electrical bill?
all the streetlights aren't billed on electrical. They usually will just, you do the install and
They call it a courtesy light.
so they cover that, the power wise.
I'm only aware of one on the end of Ranch Drive. Is there more?
Yeah, we got also
3,000.
Big Hollow. And 3,000 in Daniel Road.
Well, what's his name's house has one, I don't know if that's his personal, I think it's a street light, but don't have a cover on it. You know if that's his personal?
It is personal, he asked it to be installed and he pays
Oh,
for
he
it.
did.
So there's two of them?
Well, the cul-de-sac at Ranch Drive, there's one at the end on the cul-de-sac, and then there's one at the beginning of Ranch Drive as well.
So there's two there. Yeah, okay. So there's three total.
We're rocking.
Let's add one more in total, call it 4.
That, the one they put in is LED, I'm sure it's not burning much at all, it's a nice light. Yeah, it's a really nice light. They did a good job. I hope it's in, I hope when the intersection's designed, it's not in the way.
Do you have any? Okay. yes. All right,
Now, do you want the water? I do have some water reports, if you guys are interested in the water report, or do we want to do that during the water thing?
let's do that during the water.
Okay, sounds good.
And so does that take care of business licenses?
Yep, and
Applicants?
the reports.
Okay, and report. Okay, we'll move on to item number 6, discussion of new clerk and office space for Danieltown. So if those who were here last time remembered, at that point, we had available to us a 2-room with electrical and heat, and we were looking at about a $600 a month bill for that access to store records and such. As of yesterday, or the day before, we were able to make arrangements in the same room, actually a little better, for Mary, who's going to be our new clerk, and it'll be down to $200 a month. So that's the extent of what it's going to cost us to have that room with a desk and plenty of room to put cabinets in, or filing cabinets, and actually will work very well with what we're going to be dealing with as clerk, and how we're going to take care of that. So.
I told the mayor to sign a 10-year lease.
I'll have to bring that up to him. Right now it's just a year to year, but I don't think he'll mind. So, with regards to that, I would like to present to the council Mary Snyder as the town clerk, and see if there's any questions that we might have, and would like a vote on that, and then see how that goes. And then also would like to appoint, just after that, Lynn to the deputy clerk, so she can be able to help Mary out for the next few months, and we'll all be legal with the state and have all the right certificates. So, any questions or comments with regards to that, or the chair will entertain a motion to accept Mary Snyder as the clerk and to execute the lease for $200 a month for a minimum period of 1 year.
In addition to that, Mayor, if you would also inform the council, or let me do so,
I'll let you do so.
with her, there is a desk in the room, a couple of filing cabinets. She'll probably need to get more cabinets, maybe some shelves for record keeping. Need to get a second phone line into the building, which Daniel will be responsible for, a new computer. So I'd just like the council to approve all of the equipment necessary to set up that office at the same time.
We had kind of talked about some of the new equipment and things that the new clerk would need. Have further, and
Have that for the motion.
yes, we'd like to have that motion.
So moved.
You need to state a motion, John, if you would.
Okay.
Mary Snyder,
Okay, let's see. Make a motion to put Mary Snyder in as our new town clerk with Lynn Shinnerly being deputy. And also for the money authorization for the office space and the furnishings that need to go with it, such as desks, file cabinets, shelves, shelving, and new computer.
Okay,
That it?
we have a motion. If it's second,
I second it.
so motion and second, any last discussion on it? All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Welcome, Mary. May your next 4 years be what you hope them to be.
Where's the building at?
It's actually going to be Mark Bolthorpe's in that building. So, yep, right there. Does not legally have to be in the town of Heber.
No, I just wanted
Yeah.
to.
Yeah. So, we'll be telling, yeah, no one's going to know till tonight.
Is it gonna be like a full-time position, you'll be there all the time, pretty much?
The address is 1375 South
Yeah, I know.
Daniels Road, for those of you that aren't familiar with it.
But you'll have office hours and
Yeah, well, I'm there from 8:30 till 5, so it just worked out good because then I don't really have to limit hours. I'm available in between doing whatever I'm doing. I'll pretty much handle it.
so we'll probably have to advertise that on our website
Yes.
so people,
Mhm.
awesome.
That's whatever set hours we feel appropriate.
That's great.
Let's see, Kim, and Kim after Kim.
Very quick question. There's a whole bunch of records in the pump station. This from Old Stormhaven and Daniel Municipal Water and then Daniel Water Company beforehand. Are all those being moved too?
They are,
Sweet. Sorry, I have to go up there sometimes and go through those files.
and they are. It's not fun to get up there and look at that, so this will be more accessible for you.
Sweet.
So
Thank
are
you.
we working on digitalizing any of these, putting them online, or at least in a file, or we're not digging through boxes?
A lot of the records are already in electronic files. Paper copies have been kept of, I mean, when we get a CDBG grant, you've got this box full of records. As those were created, there's a digital copy and a file for each grant. Copies of checks, everything should be already on digital. One consideration is someday what we have right now is not going to be around anymore, just like floppy disks disappeared. So they recommend that you go to a system through the archives that is kept forever, something that the town, consider down the road. They're just moving in that direction. Hopefully what we use right now is going to be around for a while. But most records are already in digital form. Electronic format.
I'm kind of scary, because, I mean, I'm kind of following the state guideline on getting rid of stuff through planning.
Which you can do. Do you keep a log when you destroy records?
No.
You should do that, just so you know what you no longer have.
Do you like Hillary does?
So
No, I have way too much still.
Yeah, but if somebody asks for something, then you don't waste your time going, do I still have that, and check through everything, and then realize I got rid of it 6
Still
months
wasting my
ago.
time going through it.
Right, so they do recommend you keep a destruction log, they call it, of everything. And we will do that as we move the records that are no longer necessary to keep according to the state retention schedules will be shredded. And we'll just keep what we have to keep to try to reduce the volume.
So the reason I asked that is our engineering firm have access to those digital records. Is that on Dropbox? It is not.
It is in the clerk's office. I mean, we can get them anything we have on request.
You put it in the Dropbox?
Everything is put in the Dropbox. I don't do it personally.
Right, but it's computer.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the way
But-
it's set up on mine.
Yeah, I mean, that's the backup, but if they ask for something specific, well, I guess they can access the Dropbox.
Absolutely.
I would love to be able to.
You can work with Chris on that, I guess. I mean, those old records I have not culled through to see what I actually have, whether every single piece of paper is in electronic form. Records, projects that are closed and so forth, but anything current should be available to you through the Dropbox.
Yeah, when we set up the computer, I moved everything from my old computer to the new computer, so my personal everything went on there, it's all in Dropbox.
Right, and it is backed up nightly, so it should be an easy transition from me to Mary, that he would just download onto the new computer, and she should have all of my files as they exist.
I guess the hard part of that is knowing what we have to keep, what we don't have to keep. Some of it is forever, so.
Right. And I think more in when we talk about destruction, because we don't have an IT department to go through that on a daily basis, we're looking at destroying the paper records and not the electronic files. They still remain.
That's why there's the well house, act of God, the mice take care of
So,
them.
so, question, so when you're about to destroy something, would you go through and copy those again on the electronic
If they don't need to be kept, they don't need to be kept in any
at
format.
all? Okay.
I have printed out the retention schedule. It's almost 300 pages in categories, and a lot of categories we as a small town don't have records. But as we make this move and start to do some destruction, I would like to get with archives. You know, we have financial records back to '06. How
Yeah,
far do we need to keep them and make sure, get their permission to destroy what we determine that we're going to destroy? So.
Yeah, that was a big document, I thought that was the first one I should have shredded.
Back in '93.
She gave me this paper, I'm like, I wanted to get rid of some things, not 500 more pages, so.
A lot of them have been
I'll be good
planning.
with
Yes,
it.
Tim?
I'm not so sure anything up at the pump house really needs to be archived. A lot of the important papers, the proofing of acre feet and other things has already been archived, I think, through the town. But all you're gonna find up in those records is probably old meter reads.
The old boot stuff and the old,
Yeah, nasty pay letters and non-pay. You've got some plotting of the old system, but it can't be followed, and I think that we've already put a lot of that into archives.
is that what we call them?
There's a lot of the maps that are in GIS. There are some Stormhaven documents that we haven't scanned that's what Kim is referring to that I sent her back up to go look at. So there's some Stormhaven documents that are not maps that I don't think we have the locations yet that we should probably scan before we let the mice get to them.
I'm more worried about the water from the pumps and just flooding it out.
You can't spill any water.
The Stormhaven record is new enough to the town that we wouldn't destroy any of those records at this point.
Just to Kim's point, I think a lot of it is probably either old to the point that it's not relevant anymore, but some of the Stormhaven stuff, because we haven't gotten through it and
Right.
and whatnot, even though they're 10-year-old letters, they may be relevant.
And we can work with you as engineers to see what information is valuable to you and what you need.
I think Mary put some stuff up there too, didn't she? Mary Duggan, so.
Yeah, and I don't know anything else.
That's why I didn't get a key to the door, I put something in there too.
I don't have a key, I still Ryan's.
And the other item I have there, right now Lynn has posted that her hours are 1 to 5. And I'm not so sure that that's still a good idea. I can just see Mary running back and forth from one office to the other, answering phones and things. And I think that we get our business conducted between 1 and 5 just fine. Lynn would know better than I would. But if people are aware of that, it's posted in the website. And, I think it's gonna make her job a lot easier to start with.
And so what
She
you
likes
said,
the easy button going in.
is it 6s? And I would agree. I mean, that's what it's been, and those have been the hours from other people that have tried to communicate with us in the past. Does it matter, or is it 6s?
It's up to the clerk to post whatever hours you want. That's supposed to be for the public's benefit. Because the office is in my home, if the phone rings at 9 in the morning, I answer it. even though that's not the posted time.
Thank you.
So.
It's probably Eric.
Or 7 o'clock at night. Obviously,
probably
she's
right.
only gonna be able to answer during the 8:30 to 5 time when she's at that physical office. But if she just wants to post a half a day, that's fine. Charleston's hours are 9 to 1, 4 days a week. The smaller towns, you know, just make it for their own convenience. So whatever she wants to do is fine.
Yeah, you'll have a bill for it, and post wherever you want. Almost.
If it becomes a problem, we'll look at it.
Okay, well, if that's the discussion there, I will go ahead and swear you in as the new clerk here. If you will raise your right hand and read the paper, please.
I, Mary Snyder, do solemnly swear that I will obey, support, and defend the Constitution of the United States and Constitution of this state, and I will discharge the duties of my office in fidelity.
All right, thank you. If you would sign the paper, and I need to get your papers as well.
Thank you, Mary. As you on those papers now or just by the end?
Just maybe.
Right now, you won't be able to.
I'll probably get mixed up and read. That takes care of item number 6. Item number 7, discussion of bunker zone change. Recommendation for the planning commission, if you remember what that was. So last month, we continued to this month. Send the time over to council. Do we have any discussions or? Actually, I'll turn it over to the public to see if there's any public comment on it before I turn it over to council.
She's on road. That's the back that they got last week, or last month.
So Eric, did planning revisit this last month?
They did not.
What is the zone change? I'm not familiar with.
This zone change would be a zone change from a commercial, from a residential to a commercial lot at the end of 3,000 right across the street.
The entire thing, or just?
That particular lot, the bottom lot, had been at one point. Okay, so no comments from the public. Any comments or concerns and discussion from the council?
I have some questions, Mayor. Are the 2 parcels to the west, are they commercial?
No.
And I got the letter from the planning commission, but why did they recommend not to change the zoning?
Some of them are here, I think. Pam? Do you want to answer
What
that?
I recall was that I didn't feel like it fit in with what is there at this time. And one meeting, I don't remember if it was a public hearing, we had 2 of your neighbors come and they felt pretty strongly that they prefer that lot stay residential. So that was the reason I based my decisions on.
Do you have a comment? Anything else, Stephanie?
No, those are my questions.
My thoughts are, is anything adjacent from that county could just as well be commercial. Because you already got the county right across the street.
That is true.
Between there and the airport.
So surrounding zoning on that, behind that property is airport industrial, I-1. And so across the road, the street, is the only industrial in the town of Daniel.
No, it isn't. There's more. I've got some.
So he may have some too.
Get the map out.
And then the other side, behind that, of course, is the county.
Just south of Coleman's is zoned industrial. Also behind that, 3 farms is zoned industrial.
And some of that's county and some of it's certainly the town of Daniels, I think.
Yeah, you and I looked at it, if you recall. And it is industrial.
Yeah, there is a strip of county down through there that is industrial for sure.
Mid-60 day.
There is, and they, I believe they use the same theory as they did in the county back when it was all county, that 300 feet off the road is residential and behind could be what they did, and they did commercial back there. I believe it's the 300 foot, I don't know about your lot.
I have measured it.
But along Highway 40, it was 300 feet back on both sides at one time before things got changed.
Go ahead.
What's that?
But I wasn't meaning to interrupt you, just saying there is a number.
Is that a zone map, right?
It is a zoning map.
I was looking it up or something.
Well, none of these boards, they bought cheap boards, they're not magnetic, so it's like, yeah. So the property that I'm talking about is down at this end, third one in. So, what do you want to do? Oh, you want to hold it?
Upside down?
Upside down.
How do you know?
We improvise, sorry folks, but it was technical.
So this property is right here, section right here.
What's
So
to
this
the
is,
west of you?
so these are the two Wyant parcels.
Okay,
Well, it's one Wyant parcel now, but
is that commercial?
no, it's not. That one was commercial. He submitted a site plan to the town, and then his year was up. Nothing happened. We turned that back into RA5 at that point. When he came in with his plan, that's when we made that commercial. It was a good idea at the time for what he had. And so, yeah, I still think if that happened today, it would still be a good idea. The problem was that all of his approval ended at the year.
Now, is this pasture stuff over here, or is this county?
No, this is all RA5.
Okay, so this is the county's property.
This is the county property. And then
Which
this
piece is it you're trying to change then?
This is the Cattlemen's Association. So this piece right across the road from the Cattlemen's Association. So if you could,
And yours is this one?
this one right here.
This one?
Yep.
Yeah, it's right across the street from the county.
And you're butted by it on the back, correct? The
And
airport.
your buddy-
Yeah, this is I-1. And then some of you may not know this, but Heber City has annexed this piece here.
Okay.
And it's I-2, which is a higher density in industrial, which I have that map for Heber cities.
When you say I-1, does that mean 1 acre lots?
No, I-1 is I-1 industrial. So that's heavy industrial.
And what would I-2 be, just like as far as?
It's a higher density.
Just more units per.
Yeah.
Can I help you hold this up better and have you explain something to me?
Sure. Maybe. I mean, you can hold it up. I don't know if I can.
So, do you know the tentative plans of the new airport and what their boundaries are and how that's going to affect anything in here?
Yes.
Can you maybe just shed some light on that for us?
I could.
I-
You want to see it?
I don't know, if I need a ton of detail, but this is part of my reason as to why I feel like I feel.
Okay. I can shed some light on that. We recently had a meeting with Heber City. Met with them. Got a map. And what they've done is they've shown what the runway will look like at the current expansion. Really should put this on the computer.
How far out in terms of expansion are you talking? Is this a 5-year plan?
The airport still, Heber City still has to do all the environmental assessments and impact studies.
So it's a ways out.
So they've got their stuff already up now, doing some, I got some of that stuff.
Okay. You've asked me, John, so I'm gonna show you. This is my property right there.
Okay, so if you look at that, Eric's property is totally consumed by the airport if it goes through.
That's the landing and approach.
All of this area, where does that line kind of go, Eric?
It goes clear over into the county on the new building they just built. Takes part of their
This and
administration building.
Going east, how far does it roughly go going east? Which one of these lots does it kind of cut through?
It cuts through, starting, it looks like just below Blaine Smith's, and starts taking the backs of the property off on an angle that runs with the runway.
So,
Down across,
And I'm,
clear down across the highway, actually, so.
my thoughts, anybody there in that area, if they wanted to change that to commercial.
so that line right through there is kind of where the proposed airport will go.
So that's the map that they've shown.
How do they deal with 3,000 south?
There's been some talk about them moving it behind the county dump and down, moving 3,000 south down beyond there.
Wow.
Could we,
Because you can't have it run through the airport runway. It's just a right
I can
turn,
tell you that this plan has not been signed off on by a lot of folks.
including 90% of people in Heber City.
I think there's a lot of people that don't even know this exists.
The whole intersection of 3,000 and going over to Charleston, and the Charleston side, which would be the east side of that intersection, this thing just takes it all that.
The only good thing that would come of that, if that 3,000 south was consumed, in my opinion, is it's gonna help alleviate traffic off 189 to shortcut all of Heber City and Lights and go on up to Highway 40. Now, if you did nothing with that area and you had a light in there, it's very possible, and I don't want to get everybody too jumpy on this, but it's very possible you've got a light at 3,000 south, and all of a sudden, they're looking for a route, I mean Heber City, other cities in the valley, they're looking for a route off 189 up to 40. Can you feasibly see it possible? You got a 4-lane highway on 3,000 south? Okay, if the airport consumes 3,000 south and moves it, I'm not so sure that helps that. But, I mean, you're looking out, I know, it could be 10, 15, 25 years. But to have Heber City consume the property, or excuse me, the airport to consume that property we just talked about, around 3,000 south and 189, it could have quite an impact on the town of Daniel, for sure. But 3,000 south is positioned in the south end of the valley to where most of that traffic is coming from Provo, going to Roosevelt, Strawberry, Vernal. I mean, that would make a right turn, and you don't have any traffic lights, you're out of the mess, you don't have to go deal with downtown. Just a
Stop
thought.
signs.
And
maybe
so we've
speed bumps.
actually crossed that with Mountain Land Association of Governments. When we first became a town, there was it showed as a future road, 3,000 south going through. And so they was able to do, I forget what the study name was, but they did a study on it. And we wanted it removed, of course. And after the study was done, the numbers were ran. It was not a significant impact if it was in or out. So they took it off. It's no longer on the UDOT and county long-term range plan. That road showing a bypass. However, it is earmarked as an evacuation route in the valley.
And they would jump in a blink to make it a bypass road to Strawberry if we
You say it could be done pretty easy.
It'd be pretty hard. We're pretty hard.
Well, I mean, it's for them to look at it and say,
Yeah,
it's a straight.
yeah, they all look at it.
Then
and
they
that's what they
say,
think.
you sure you guys don't want to do that? About
Matter of
every
fact,
meeting.
The
No,
new
I
40 agreement, that's what they said. Don't you want the light here? Well, no, we don't want it there. There's no road there. So, but that's looking from UDOT standards.
For
That's
them, they can look at it,
Yeah, yeah, so we've crossed that. So, I know John wasn't here and Stephanie's new on the council. I gave a packet last time. I'd like to just quickly go through that and give you some more information. So, what I'm reading from is the town general plan, and I'll give you a copy of this, Stephanie.
I have a copy of it.
Oh, do you?
Yes.
Okay. So, the purpose of the general plan is to guide land use, control, and development in the town of Daniel and to provide a stable basis of policy upon which elected and appointed officials can rely. So then I skip down to number 1, to promote the most appropriate type of development within each planning area of the town while maintaining a rural atmosphere. Then I jump to number 3. Again, I'm reading out of the general plan of the town. To foster commercial and light industrial development that will strengthen the economic base of the town. Then I jump down to number 6, to ensure that local units of governments can obtain the highest return per dollar spent in maintaining water and sewer facilities, storm drainage facilities, streets, parks, and other types of public facilities and infrastructure. Okay? There's other items on there. These are just ones that I've highlighted. Then I go to the Daniel Town Land Use Plan, which is adopted by the plan. So the goal of the Daniel Land Use Plan is to provide general pattern for the location, distribution, and character of future land uses. The objective of the land use plan are to, and then I jump down to the third bullet, concentrate commercial areas along 2 major arterial US 89 and US 40, and encourage revitalization by upgrading facilities, reducing traffic complex, and improving parking where needed. So then I jump down to the intent. The intent of the land use plan is to achieve and coordinate harmonious development in the town and its environs. And so now I go down to plan versus code. And I'm on the second bullet, the need for land use transition to ensure compatibility with adjacent development or environmentally sensitive areas. I think all these things apply to this exact zone change. On the back, you'll go down to commercial uses. Commercial areas have been placed on the edges of town adjacent to highway corridors to minimize impact and disruption to the residential areas of the town. Commercial development should be limited to areas where police, fire, water, sewer, roads, and communications are readily available. Want me to keep going? Second bullet on that, the size and location of commercial development should be in keeping with the road capabilities and land use context which commercial centers develop. So as we move through that, and that's a good segue, it's not part of this, but you guys should probably be aware of this, that Heber City has updated their land use plan and their commercial area. Because I know that we have some other ones that are in front of us. If you'll notice this Heber City, and this is online, but that commercial area has gone up the highway, clear to the trailer park, up Highway 40 now. So that commercial zone goes all the way up across.
On the east side of 40.
Yeah. Yeah, that goes all the way to the trailer park. It also jumps across Mill Road and is in that section that is not developed yet.
The little airplane strip.
No, on
Mill Road.
On the west
Oh,
side.
okay.
the other
Forest
side.
Service.
Yeah, there's
What I
a,
was talking about.
this is high density, the orange is high density. And what they did is they made a commercial strip right down there. So it almost lines up with what we have on our plan of that commercial up further. But they've jumped to that side, so that corner we talked about, Heber City has done that with their maps.
That goes back to Martin McAllister's place.
That's right.
Across the road we talked about for a year.
Yeah, and so this pink is all the area that's I-1 industrial, and then that darker pink is the I-2. So this is the Heber City map that they've just adopted. So I go to the third bullet, local and community scale commercial areas should conform to the guiding principles, goals, and objectives contained in the general plan. So that's why I'm bringing that up in the general plan as this land use. I go down to industrial land use. So this is the property that we're talking about behind and across the road from this property. An industrial area has been designated as a buffer between residential areas of the town and the Heber City Airport. Care should be taken in the development of this area so that it actually serves as a buffer rather than intensifying the effects of the airport on surrounding residential development. I can tell you by living there that there is an impact.
Not too much of a buffer.
Not too much of a buffer. So then we go to Daniel Ordinance 2803D, and that section talks about zone establishment and how that is created by the town and their authority to do that. And then the last page in that is purposes, section 81001. If you jump down to item number 4, provide commercial zone that abut or in close proximity to a state highway. Number 5, provide access to commercial zones off major roadways that are convenient and